Obviously, it's a great day to be a Husky. We are certainly excited about this class. I think we were able to add some pieces to the puzzle and continue to develop the depth and talent of our program. This was a different year for a lot of different reasons for recruiting with COVID and the inability to, do official visits and get guys on campus with their families in a more intimate setting. But I think we got lucky this year with the process. We were able to get over 300 kids and their families on campus back in January. We were a little bit ahead in the recruiting process for the class of 2021. And so we were able to take advantage of those weekends and get kids on campus and have them see our place and get around our staff, which I think paid dividends in the long run. As far as, when things got shut down, we were able to continue to develop the relationships and have a chance to add to our class slowly but surely. And I think it all came together nicely. So, this class to me, as you look at it, I think we got some length, athleticism, some competitive kids, guys that play multiple sports, guys that are, high academic young men that's going to, represent the university well. To me, I think that's a big part of, what we're looking to build, guys that's going to do the right things both on and off the field. And certainly this class can add to it. So I can go by guys, as you ask questions, but, I'll stop there and take questions as you see fit.
Okay, with that, thanks, Coach. Let's, anyone have any questions? Let me get you squared away. Go. You should be good to go, Eddie.
Hey, Coach. Suppose the process like getting Ontario here. I know I saw the tweet saying that he's the highest rated recruit you guys have brought in. I know he committed to South Carolina. What was the process like getting it?
Yeah, Ontario was a young man that we were in on early. I think we were one of the first schools to contact him. Really thought he was a really good player, and really liked what he was about as a person. And then, what happens, I think, sometimes in recruiting is, in the day and age of, social media, if one school offers you end up getting a bunch of other offers. That's not kind of the way we do business. We try to build a relationship first, get to know the kid, see if the kid is a good fit for us. And then obviously when things didn't work out at South Carolina, he remembered the relationship that we had built with him and established with him from the beginning. And I think we were one of, he didn't, the thing I try to stress to these young men is, if you're not talking to the head coach, it's hard to say a school is truly, truly interested in you. So I try to get actively involved with all the guys that, we want to have a chance to sign. And he was certainly a guy that I was in early and active. And I thought it paid dividends for us at the end.
I know it's a while away, but that crowd, I was talking to his coach, he made it sound like he could be an instant impact type player. Is that kind of how you see him?
Well, I think, he's certainly going to have an opportunity to compete. I think what you're going to see is our running back room is going to be extremely competitive, and he understands that. And, we talk weekly about, how Harrison Whaley was developing. He knows about Ducker. Julius Bolden is coming into the program, Aaron Collins. So, we got the running back room in a spot that, whoever earns the playing time and whoever plays is probably going to be a very dynamic player. And so we're excited about that and understand that you need depth at that position to be able to send multiple guys out there to wear a defense down. And I think we got some guys that can create explosive plays. I'm not into the rankings per se because I think, those are sometimes inflated based on, potential offers. I'm into the player, and Terry is a really good player. And Julius Bolden is exceptional in his own right. He's a young man that, his mom ran track at Michigan State, dad played basketball, very athletic family. He has a younger sister that's one of the top track stars in the country. And he's extremely fast and very physical. So, I like both backs that we were able to bring in this year.
What was he liked about Trey Irwin? What did you see in him?
Trey is just a football player. I think a lot of times in the evaluation process, you don't want to recruit to the exception. Trey is not the biggest, but he is extremely tough. He's extremely competitive. He's a young man that I think can help us in a variety of roles. He played running back. He played wide receiver. He's a punt returner. He could be a kickoff returner. He's a guy that's very dynamic with the ball in his hands. And so he's a guy that, remind me of some guys that played here before. And, was somebody that I was really high on early in the process. And we got him on campus, got him on campus multiple times with him and his family. And they felt comfortable with us, and we definitely felt comfortable with him.
What was it that you saw in Mason? Well, what stood out about him, Pierre Antoine?
I think the thing about Mason is, he is a route technician. He's a young man because of the team that he played on last year, had an excellent team. They got the ball to some other guys. So he was kind of maybe the second or third option. His dad is a trainer. And so we were able to get some videos of him running routes, working out, running 40s, vertical jump, different things that, gave us enough information that we felt comfortable and confident about him. And then you watch him run routes and the level of detail and his ability to run routes at such a young age, gives us confidence that we can, plug him into our offense in multiple spots. He can be a dynamic playmaker for us moving forward.
Last one I got is Trayvon Jordan, the kid out of Sterling. What'd you see in him? What made you go after him, and what can he add?
Yeah, obviously Trayvon has tremendous size. Was a young man that was a basketball player growing up that decided to play football. The thing we like about Trayvon is we had him in camp last year, and we really grinded him and worked him and put him through the paces. Not last year, 2 years ago, in the summer of 2019. And so he was a sophomore at the time, and we really put him in there with some older guys and had a lot of verified information on him as far as height, weight, speed, vertical jump, and then watched him compete against some guys that was committed to us in the 20 class. And he was really exceptional, competitive, extremely long arms, have the ability to separate. And I thought he was very physical. So, we think his best football is ahead of him. He committed himself to being a very explosive and dynamic football player. And we love what he's going to be able to do on our defensive line.
Hey, thanks, Coach.
Okay, Brandon Suarez of Huskies on Tap. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Ethan Hampton from Aurora Christian. What are your thoughts on him, and will he potentially have an opportunity to compete for a starting job in 2021?
The thing about Ethan is he's a young man that's extremely focused and dedicated to being a great quarterback. He's going to be here in January, which is going to give him a chance to go through spring practice and compete. Very high academic young man. He can retain a lot of information. He really called their offense on his own multiple times in games. That the head coach let me know that there were times where he would call the plays and run the offense. So for a young man to be that far ahead in his growth and development on a football field, and then his recruiting was a little bit interesting. I don't think a lot of people was able to go watch him throw, but I had a chance to watch him throw. His command of his wide receivers. He had his little brother out there and telling him what routes to run, and he threw it on time. He has a high level arm strength. And the thing about him is he's not just a traditional drop back quarterback. He does have the ability to run and to move. We like the fact that he was able to take snaps under center, which gives him some more flexibility as we continue to build our offense. But he's a young man that, I'm excited to get him here in January. He sent me some clips the other day of him throwing. He throws a phenomenal ball, great arm talent. and somebody that, if you're here in the spring, he gives himself a chance to compete.
And then when you look at the total number of signees from the state of Georgia, obviously Georgia isn't the closest state to us and not necessarily in our traditional recruiting track. How are you guys able to kind of build that pipeline in the state of Georgia and keep it going, I think, now for 2 years straight with quite a few players from the state?
Well, I think, having recruited Georgia before, I think there are areas that you can recruit extremely hard and get guys that, want to leave that area. I think you have to be strategic. You have to know the area. You have to know what you're looking for. And, we certainly have a great idea of what we're looking for in the areas down there that we can attack. And, I think it helps that you have guys that came here this year and Devin Lafayette and Miles McGee that came up here and had success and played and having a good experience. And I think that, by having those kids up here, the word spreads, and obviously more guys want to have a chance to have a piece of that success.
And then final question, with no guarantee that everything, goes back to normal as far as recruiting, having recruits back on campus and stuff of that nature, how confident do you feel in your staff and yourself on being able to do this again if there is hypothetically a situation where we're not allowed to have recruits on campus?
Yeah, I don't anticipate signing another big class for a long time. I think, last year we signed 28. This year we signed 24. We got a couple more spots that we can sign some guys as we see if they fit, what we're looking to do. But as you look at the numbers, and the ability to have, this eligibility year didn't count. From a roster management standpoint, we're certainly going to take our time in the 22 class. We're going to make sure that we have all the information. We're going to make sure that, we see guys at camp. We see guys work out. We see guys live. I think, having the ability with Illinois playing in the spring presents a great opportunity for us to get out and see guys in our home state. And we want to take care of Illinois first, and having the ability to watch those young men in the spring gives us time to evaluate thoroughly what we need, what we're looking for, and make sure we don't make, very many mistakes.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, James Krause of the Northern Star, you should be good to go.
Coach, before I ask about recruiting, I wanted to talk about Athletics put out something yesterday saying that from basically October until the end of the season, there were no positive COVID tests this season. What do you think that says about the players on your team to their commitment to sort of following protocols? What does that say about them?
Yeah, I thought our players handled the protocols exceptionally. I thought the MAC put a great plan in place. I thought our players believed in it. We kept them safe. We did everything possible from, practicing outside the whole season. We did all the things necessary to try to give us an opportunity to play each game, and we were able to do that. And I think, great job to from Sean Frazier to John Chaney to Phil Voorhees to Heath Duncan to Dr. Babka to everybody else that was involved. They were able to put a plan in place, and we tried to follow it as strictly as possible to make sure we can have an opportunity to play.
Just looking through some of the guys in this class, Brandon McKinnon, 6'7", 280. Jellion Williams, 6'5", 275. It looks like there's going to be a lot of size in this class. And it was something you addressed sort of at the end of the season as getting guys with weight in the offseason for your freshmen this year. Is that something you kind of prioritized going into recruiting for your frontline guys?
We obviously understand we are a developmental program. But I think, a developmental program doesn't have to be a guy 6'5", 230. A guy can be 6'5", 260 and get to 6'5", 290. So, the weight gain and the strength and the development of the young men, but it starts with having a frame that can grow. That's something that we look for in our young men. I think that gives you a chance to build the type of program and build the type of team that can go out there and compete with the type of schedule that we play. This is a big man's game, and I think the more the bigger, more physically dominant person normally wins the battle. And, I think we've done a good job of identifying guys that meet those standards. And I think that we can continue to move forward in that direction.
And then last question, just about having seen how much freshmen played a role in this team this past season, is it fair to say that even, true freshmen coming into this upcoming season and in future seasons in your program, there's going to be high expectations for them to perform not only and improve in practice, but show up maybe in games?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would just say that, number one, it allows you to be a lot more competitive from the standpoint of, if a young man walks in, there's depth in the program that he's going to have to compete against. And if he proves that he's the best guy on a day-to-day basis, then they understand they're going to have an opportunity to play. And I think, that's the great thing that we can sell is, the best players are going to play. I've never liked the politics of football. I didn't like it as a player. I certainly don't like to do it as a coach. What I like is, the best players deserve the right to play, regardless of age, regardless of any other, outside things. I think the best guys that deserve to play and improve it on a day-to-day basis should do it. And I think, what these two classes will allow us the opportunity to do is we can have a lot more competitive practices, and guys understand that everything is being evaluated. And if you want to play, make sure you're the same guy every day.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right, next up, we'll go to Derek Bain of WREX. You should be open, Derek.
Hey, Coach, you kind of touched on it a couple minutes ago, but just how challenging was it recruiting in Illinois? And were there any unique situations that you had? It sounded like you had quarterback thrown to his little brother, things like that. Any other kind of fun stories, I guess, or things that made it a little more difficult or unique?
Well, I think the thing about, we were able to see most of these kids in camps the previous year. And so that gave us some information. That gave us a baseline of height, weight, speed, size, that we were able to see. And then when we got them on campus and met their families, that kind of confirmed, some of the things that we're looking for. Obviously it's not ideal to not play a season during the fall. I think we got some creative ideas, definitely for the in-state kids that play in the spring. We want to make sure, the young men that we signed, if they play in the spring, we give them enough time off instead of jumping them right back into another season. So, I think to me, 90 days is a good window, 3 months from whenever their season ends that, they get 3 months off before they start working out with us. I think is important just from a developmental standpoint. These are young guys that, their bodies are continuing to grow. And we want to make sure we have a good plan in place, knowing that, basically these guys are going to play 2 seasons in 1 calendar year. So we want to make sure we're smart that way, take care of these young men, and make sure they can thrive in our program.
Thanks, Coach.
Do we have any more questions here for NIU head football coach Thomas Hammock? Let me get to you here really quick, Eddie. You should be open now, Eddie. Go ahead.
Kind of ties into recruiting, I guess, a little bit, and knowing like what you got coming back next year. But what seniors have told you they're coming back? Like, how's that looking? Like a guy like Ross or a guy like Tyrese? I know Kyle said he was intending to. Who's told you what so far, and when do you expect to know by?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into all those conversations. I mean, obviously, this is a day to celebrate the signing class. We have a good idea of what the roster is going to look like moving forward. But today is not the day.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I would like to mention a couple of these guys that we haven't talked about.
Sure,
all of them. Blake Coulson is a tight end that we signed. He'll be here in January, 6'4", 240. Definitely a point of attack type tight end. Somebody that can help us in the running game. Brandon McKinnon, offensive tackle from New Jersey, the Hun School. Big kid, team captain, very versatile player. I think the sky's the limit. Drew Hoff, offensive lineman from Iowa, 6'5", 305, first team All-State, All-Conference. Young man that, really developed his body, really got better as the season went along, and really played his best football as a senior. Luke Pennick is another offensive lineman, 6'4", 291 from Iowa. The great thing about us is we so far west, we get an opportunity to see these young men, get them on campus, and his dad played college football, so understands what college football is all about. Pete Niger is an offensive lineman, a center from Indiana, Brownsburg, Indiana. He's going to be here in January. Young man that we identified early as a guy that was important at the center position. He will have a chance to come in and learn from Braden Patton and obviously compete with J.J. Lippy. On the defensive line, I think we really knocked it out the park with Cade Haberman, a defensive lineman out of Nebraska. He's 6'3", 275, won the state championship, actually won the game against one of our other signees, had 60 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 3-time state qualifier in wrestling. A guy that, epitomizes what it means to play like a Husky. Obviously, we talked about Jelani. He's 6'5", recently, he weighed in at 278, so he's a big man that we feel like can be a big presence on the interior of our defensive line. Liam Rimple is a defensive end, 6'5", 230, very long, athletic. He's actually teammates with Brandon. He's a young man that, we think can, play both positions at the defensive end spot. He's athletic enough to handle zone reads, but certainly a guy we're excited about. So, for us defensively, we wanted to continue to attack the defensive line. We wanted to make sure we increased the depth at the linebacker position. I think we did that. Nemo, a young man from North Forney, Texas, first team all-district, very dynamic and explosive linebacker. We think he can play both linebacker positions. We think he can play the mic and he can play the bat. Brian Witsey, a kid from in Chicago, Solorio High School, teammates with Messiah Travis, plays safety. We think he has the frame in the body type that he can put on a lot of weight. He's got a very long wingspan, very short tackler, good speed. In this conference, we play a lot of spread teams, so we need guys that can match up and be able to tackle. Elijah Ham, he's a guy that, I'm not sure what his best position is, but he is a thumper. He's from Georgia. He plays safety. He may be a safety. He may be able to slide down to a linebacker position, but somebody that we think is a dynamic player that can help us on special teams and compete very early in his career. Makai Nelson Douglas, young man from Nebraska, linebacker, 6'1", 200. He actually lost the state championship to Cade Haberman, a guy that we saw early, had him on campus, played both ways, running back, linebacker, and somebody that we think gives us some versatility to play a couple different spots on defense. Then we really wanted to attack the cornerback position. And the great thing about the cornerback position is it gives you 2 position flexibility. We got some guys with size, athleticism. If they're not a cornerback, they may grow into a safety. So to us, we wanted to take the most athletic guys we can find and with speed and size. And then when they get on campus, we can evaluate. But this kid, Cyrus Magaro, he was a young man from Canada, had his season cut short because of COVID, decided to, pay his own way to play in Florida. Played exceptional as a senior. He's about 6'2", 175. He's going to be here in January to go through our off-season program. And we couldn't be more excited to have an opportunity to coach him and help him develop into what he wants to become. Ty Miles is a corner that's very physical down there in Georgia. He's also good friends with Ontario Brown, but he's a person that's confident. He's physical, two-way player. He's actually, if he wins on Friday, he's actually going to play Elijah Ham's team in the state championship. So, we've had, 4 different guys play different, their future teammates in games. Also, Javon Bird is a DB out of Milwaukee. Rufus King He was a young man we had in camp in 2019. He was a young man we had in camp in 2019, and he was a sophomore at the time. Ran 4.47 at our camp. Very long, athletic, great ball skills. He plays safety at his high school, but he does have the ability to play corner. So we really want to get him in the program and see how he develops. And then Wetu Kaloma is a DB from Kansas. He's teammates with Julius Bolden, the running back that we signed. Very long, athletic, very physical. We wanted to have, corners that can come up and press. We wanted to have corners that can come up and tackle. We wanted to have corners that's very physical and have a presence about them. But I just wanted to have a chance to recognize, the rest of our class. I know I got questions on some of them, and I wanted to make sure we were able to talk about all these young men in our program that's coming and want to compete. And, we are certainly excited about them.
Actually, we have one more question from a couple different people. Brandon Suarez, you want to go ahead and you should be unmuted.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Coach, I know in the last season and even in 2019, we've seen you add graduate transfers or even, people in the transfer portal. Can we expect anything like that, or do you have kind of a short list of upperclassmen that you have an eye on?
I think obviously it's an interesting time, as far as, the portal and different things like that. And one thing that strikes me is, in pro football, all the great teams, they build a team from the draft. And you look at the Patriots, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Seahawks, the Chiefs, all the good teams, they build it in the draft. And the teams that don't have success, they try to build it in free agency. So what we want to do to us, we look at the high school kids as our draft. And obviously we want to make sure we build our team from within with youth. But there are also opportunities that, as we see fit, we may look at a position or two that we can, improve our team. And I think to me that's the free agency portal type. But you don't want to build a team that way. I don't think that's the right way to go. We want to make sure we build it with high school kids that we get to know their families, we get to know them. We have a thorough knowledge of them as a student athlete and what's important. And then obviously we will add guys as we see that we may need along the process. And I think that's why it's important for us to hold on to a couple scholarships and go through spring, see what it looks like, and then assess our team after that.
Thanks, Coach.
And Donna, go ahead. We have a question here from Donna.
Hi, Coach. I wanted to just talk about the kind of the balance of this overall, this total class. You have, 12, at least what it is now. You have 12 guys on defense. You have 10 guys on offense. Defense is split, 4-4-4 among the linebackers and the corners/DBs. So was that, the whole goal going into this year when you looked at your team?
Well, my number one job is roster management, and that's something that, you look at daily. I think in recruiting, I think sometimes coaches, they want to get an extra guy. I have to tell them no quite frequently. But we want to have balance and depth throughout the program. And I think that's something that, you don't want to get imbalanced one way or the other. So we definitely going to attack the areas that we need to improve upon. The way the class fell out this year with what we took last year, I think, fit us perfectly. Last year, we didn't take as many linebackers. We were heavy on the back end. So this year we were a little bit heavier at linebacker, guys that we felt, can come in and compete. Defensive linemen are always hard to find. So, the more that you can take early and get them in a program because they take time to develop, for us, we were, whether you look at it fortunately or unfortunately, we had some guys that were able to, go compete this year as freshmen, which is hard to do. But now you start building a depth, we don't have to take as many moving forward. I'm always going to be a guy that's going to take corners. I think, that's a hard position to evaluate. I think it's a hard position to play. And those guys can sometimes filter into safeties. But you got to have guys that can cover, that can move their feet, that can open their hips. Offensively, offensive linemen, we know that's a developmental position. So you want to keep young guys in the pipeline. You know, it may take a year or two. We got lucky. You know, the last 2 years, Logan Shernitz actually played 4 games as a true freshman. And then this year, John Champ was able to go out there and compete the second half of the season and be a starter and play, 80 snaps a game. The other position that I think, we need to continue to develop is our tight end position. I think that's another developmental position that we got to continue to look and find creative ways to address. And I think for us, the running backs, the 2 guys are phenomenal. The quarterback position is a leader and a commander. And then obviously the 2 wide receivers. So, we've been fortunate with our specialists and then having the extra year of eligibility to get Matt Ferentz back, to get John Richardson back, to get Eric Abel back. Those 3 guys are critical to our special team success.
And then lastly, just we have, 11 states and Canada represented in this class. And you guys really spread the net pretty wide, obviously still with 5, leading the way with 5 guys from Illinois. Just what enables you to, have these kind of success from, not just the Midwest states and the surrounding states, but, Texas, Georgia, Massachusetts, everywhere. How does the staff make those connections?
Yeah, we got a lot of connections on our staff. I think that helps. And I think prior relationships in different areas, whether it's recruiting or coaches that you may know, our staff has done a phenomenal job. We have a process of recruiting. We're not a mass offer operation. I think this year we offered 91 guys and signed the class that we signed. So we're not like some schools where they, offer, 200-300 people. For us, it's about the relationship, and we want to make sure we spend the adequate amount of time with the student athletes and their families where they feel comfortable with us. And I think our staff of coaches, they got great connections and they use those connections. And I think, people recognize that we can spend more quality time recruiting the coaches, recruiting the families, and recruiting the student athletes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if we have no other further questions here for Coach, we want to thank you, Coach, for your time today. And yeah, we'll look forward to seeing everyone again, hopefully out in spring ball. All right. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Appreciate it. Go Huskies.